everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope you are having like pretty much your best week you've ever had. I love this woman, Dr. Liz. She sent me a text last night and she's in California. I'm here in Alaska. So we can be texting one another when everyone else is asleep because of time zones. So that was super fun. And she just said, I'm so excited to share with everyone tomorrow because of the radical changes and shifts that she has made in her practice and in her life. And she's just so excited to share with all of you. So Dr. Liz, welcome. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you. So let's start at the beginning. Let's go all the way back to you're an associate. Then you opened your own practice. Tell us that journey and from the perspective of your thoughts when you opened your practice, having come from an associate position that maybe wasn't like so nurturing.
Right. So I was an associate for 11 years. That is like an eternity in the land of associates, right? Normally people are associates for like 1-2 years and then they're like, cool, peace out. I'm going to go do my own thing. I loved where I worked. I loved that I got to have my babies while I was an associate and I had a job to come back to. He covered me and my patients while I was on maternity leave. So there was a lot of benefits to it. When I left chiropractic college in 2008, that was a big recession. And, the banks didn't give money and there was no like funding for me to get started. So I was just so thankful for the experience and the opportunity to go into this associateship. And I, in a million years, never expected to be there 11, but fear and just like the economy and all the things got in my way. So I got in my head and I stopped remembering who I was and what I was about and what I was called to. Because when I was in chiropractic school, long before I ever met the man that I worked for, I never had a dream of being an associate. It was always, I was going to have my own practice. My husband and I were going to open an amazing clinic and he had the business sense and I had the doctor sense and we were going to do it together. And then I just let fear get in the way. So I can't say that it was, not nurturing the whole time because my own thoughts got in the way a lot. But I finally listened to the voice of God. It was like as clear as day. In January 2019, I was at church and he said, "Do you trust me?" And I was like, "Yes, you're the provider of the world. You're the creator of the universe." He said, "I will provide." So I stepped out in faith, literally on invisible stones. And from the day that I called my boss on that Sunday at 3:00 in the afternoon to having my own practice fully ready to go was 90 days. And so when we left church that morning, I told my husband, God told me to put my notice in today. I didn't have a location. I didn't have a name. I didn't have funding. I had nothing. I just had his instruction and my faith in that instruction. And he said, "Well, don't you think you should get a loan first?" And I said, "I think that if I put my notice in, I will get a loan." That was a Sunday at 3:00. Wednesday, I had a fully funded business loan, no cosigner, no collateral, just my ability to say I will pay it back.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, something that you said really, really hit me of God saying to you, "Do you trust me?" And, I find it so interesting that he ever has to say that to us. And I was responding to somebody on Facebook the other day who, has suffered in relationship, which whether it's relationship in marriage or it's relationship from a parent or relationship from somebody else, I think that's one of the common things of human, right? Is that we've all likely suffered and caused suffering.
Correct.
Like, let's all remember that many times we're the story that somebody else is telling of hurt.
Sure.
I mean, that's the truth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I said, what does it look like and what's available to you if you stop looking to trust something you can see and instead trust the person that the creator of this world who put all of this into action? I was thinking the other day too, like we know this is where innate intelligence lives, mind, right? And mind controls brain. Mind controls brain, brain controls nerve system. But it starts here in mind, innate intelligence. And we all trust innate intelligence to heal the body, right? We all trust innate intelligence to bring forth spring. We all trust innate intelligence, and it goes through its process just because that's what it's supposed to do. I want all of you to just stop for a second and recognize that God has so much available for you in mind through innate intelligence when there's no interference. Like, we're the ones that stop this beautiful blossom. We're the ones that stop the magnificent life that is on offer for us. So Liz, let's go there. Like, what has shifted so radically in your thinking? And let's go all the way back to October.
Yeah.
So we're at Blair. What happened?
So I show up to Blair with my entourage. It was so amazing. In the middle of the pandemic, we were one of the very few societies that were absolutely going to have an in-person seminar. And it was in Florida. That was already decided before the pandemic was ever put on us. And I'm on the committee for the conference. Me, Tyler Evans, and Tracy, our executive director, and then one other Dr. Ryan Lawler. So we were just committed to being in person because we know we needed that community. One of the highlights of my year is going to the Blair Conference and being with all the people that do what I do, which, mind you, is only about 150 people in the whole wide world. But when we get together, it's just a magnificent weekend, and I look forward to it. My heart is so just yearns for it. So I show up with my entourage because we hit some pretty ridiculous goals before March of 2020. And I wanted to bless them with a first-class ticket to Florida to go to the Blair Conference. And I think I brought 4 staff, and we have more staff now, and I'll be bringing them to Texas this year. But you were going to be having a keynote, and you were going to be training the CAs. So I knew that everybody in my staff had to be there. And I wasn't coaching with you yet, but a few of my Blair friends had been, and they were just talking about how excellent you were. And I'd been watching you for a while from the sidelines. And so when you gave your keynote, I looked over to my left with my staff, and they all were just smiling and nodding, and they knew that we were going to be involved with you in some way. So then the next day, you did the CA training with my staff and everybody else who brought their staff. And that is another awesome thing that we as the Blair Society do. We give tools, and we mentor the people that support us because we can't do it all. So we offer this CA track, and we bring people like you in to train them, which is the smartest thing. And the girls just had the best day, and they just knew before the weekend was over that I was going to be signing up with you as a boot camp member. And I had been educated about it in the past. I just never knew what was I going to get myself into. But by the time you were done with your keynote, and by the time they were done with their CA training, it was a no-brainer. We were done. I signed up on the spot.
Yeah. So number one, I'm so proud of you for bringing your team and honoring your team, and just I thought, Sarah, and it was so sweet of you that you sent you a message. She messaged me, and she's like, I can't believe Liz just sent me this. That our brand is as strong as our team.
Yeah.
Right? Now, our brand can be as strong as we are if you want to do all the work. But that sounds terrible, like a terrible idea, right?
Yes.
Please, everyone, understand, going from 5,000 a month to 50,000 a month to Liz just did 91,000. You will not get there on your own. It just doesn't happen like that. And why would you want to? Why would you want to do something so fabulous in changing your community alone? I want everyone to be able to participate and have fun in that. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I just don't have any experience in running a team. I don't have any experience in hiring. I don't have any experience in training. Let's just slow your roll. Slow monkey, because here's the deal. Can I tell all of you, at one point, you didn't know how to be a chiropractor. And so you said, self, I want to be a chiropractor. What do I do? You went to chiro school and they taught you how to be a chiropractor. At one point, you didn't know how to walk. You figured that out after falling many, many times. At one point, you couldn't even wipe your own butt that had poop on it. And yet, look at you now. Hopefully, you have figured that out. So the fact that you don't know how to hire a team, that you don't know how to train a team, just invites you to go like, cool, I get to learn.
Yeah.
And in the boot camp, we teach you how to do that. And like Dr. Sarah was talking about yesterday, is, you know what, it's another opportunity to really pour into someone's life. Like what a huge blessing.
Yeah.
To look for, where can I contribute? And we have all of these people really close to us, call our team, that we're actually paying. Pour into them. So Liz, where were you when we started in October monthly, and how did you get to 91,000 last month?
Well, I think that we had just had a pretty awesome month. And mind you, this was in the middle of COVID, right? Like this was 6-7 months into the shutdown. And the first 4 months of the COVID pandemic, we just basically scraped by. And we went from, you know, I think it was like 60 something thousand collections in January, and then maybe like 50 something in February. And then it just went to like the gutter because everybody was afraid. But July, August, September, things started picking back up. So I was committed to still bringing my team because we had hit those goals in the beginning. And I even hired a new team member who came with us to Florida in June. And I was just like, I'm not sure how I will afford this, but I know that I'm going to need a person because I know that we're going to get better. So in October, I think we were at like 68,000. We immediately enrolled in the boot camp, and we were on those weekly Wednesday meetings, and we just started. I paid them all like hourly rate to watch the training, and then weekly we would come back and have meetings about what we would do to implement the systems that we were learning in the boot camp. And each person took upon themselves what they wanted to be responsible for. So like in my office, Claire was like really excited about the referral gift packet, and she created all of the language and all the different papers. And Brooke is amazing at social media, and she runs that for me. And she created all the imaging and all of the messaging content for that. And Melissa is the organizer. So she knows what we need to get done, and she reverse engineers and plans the steps and delegates all the tasks to everyone so that we're all forming. And so every person, and that's what I loved about yesterday with Dr. Sarah, she wants to meet the person where they are. If it's the doctor she's hiring or her office manager, she asks them, what does it look like for you to thrive and be in flow? And she meets them. Her doc wanted to wear a beautiful pencil skirt. So she bought her a skirt and celebrated with her the day that she got to wear that skirt. That is awesome. And so I took that same approach, and I asked each of my team members, like, what are you wanting to do? What is the thing that you resonate with the most? And each of them are thriving in their own little lane. I hired a rad tech in November. Actually, that's not true. She came in the first week after we got back from Blair Conference. We hired our rad tech. So she is all about making sure the images are perfect and handling all those records when people are asked for those. And we got a cone beam CT in February this year, and she was so excited to do cone beam CT on all the patients. We sold $5,000 worth of cone beam CTs at $150 a pop in February, the first month. So how did we get to 91,000? It was encouraging and inspiring each and every team member to do their best and their thing that they love, and collaboratively, synergistically, we came together and knocked it out of the park. And that was just with me as the doctor. I didn't even have an associate yet. So now in April, we have Dr. Whitney on board, and I can't even imagine. I mean, it's going to be like 200 grand a month before we know it. We're going to need to buy a building, and like, I'm going to have to break my lease, and we're going to have to buy a building.
I love that. So let's talk about, I typed a couple of things that were kind of summarizing what you said, but I think if I put it up, it'll be too big. Oh, not too bad. Like just for reference, like Liz practices in California, so it's not your location that is holding you back. For those of you who are watching, it's not your technique. You know, so often I'll hear people kind of, oh, because I practice like pure chiropractic, that's why I'm broke. Well, that should be the exact reason why you're not broke, because like it's truly chiropractic. And this isn't like to make anyone feel bad. It's you. It is you. Our thinking creates our reality. So please understand, you literally are one train of thinking away from your most amazing life, and you don't understand what I'm talking about. That's because you're not in the boot camp, but I talked about trains and our thinking, and it just makes so much sense. So Liz, you know, if it was really just about the money, there are a lot of easier ways to do that, right? We can sell drugs.
Yeah.
We could, you could rob somebody. Obviously, that's not what I'm condoning. If it was just about making money, let's face it, that's not that hard.
Right.
So what has been available to you and what has shifted for you? And let's specifically look at your personal life through the lens of Mastermind.
Yeah, the Mastermind was something that was offered to me and I jumped on it. And I'm not going to lie, like I was like, my tax accountant was like, you got to spend money. Otherwise you're going to have to pay all these taxes. And I'm like, coaching, that's a business write-off. So I wrote the check and I was nervous because I've never actually spent that amount of money on myself in one big chunk. I mean, I bought a car, I've paid payments over time, but I've never written a check that big for myself. And I knew that when I wrote that check that I was investing into myself. So what has changed is knowing that I'm worth it, that everything that I invest in for myself is going to be essentially paying out dividends I bought myself this mastermind class time and I've gotten way more out of it than I can even begin to articulate. But just in the month of March, I made 3 times more than my investment just in 1 month. You know what I'm saying? So it's a no-brainer. And what has changed is my confidence in knowing that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And every single time that we meet as a mastermind and every single time that you and I have a conversation, I just get that clarity. And when I was a student in Palmer, I wrote an essay and I won the Blair Scholarship. I was like, one of the students that year that won the coveted Beatrice K. Blair Scholarship in 2008. And one of the things that I wrote was that clarity breeds confidence. Because in the world of Blair, we talk about being clear when you're not subluxated in your neck. Clarity breeds confidence. And that's something, that statement has always stuck with me. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, when I am in the flow of working these principles and understanding these concepts and knowing, I'm clear and I'm confident. And that has changed the game on every aspect of my life, my marriage, my mothering, my friendships, and certainly my practice.
What is so delicious to you about this this coaching style is way different than most. Like I talked to somebody the other day and she's like, I've done lots of coaching, and basically it's you check in with somebody. Did you do that? No, you didn't. Like, bad girl, get it right. And let's meet again next week.
Right.
And it becomes almost which is really interesting because we all want accountability, but I'm here to tell all of you, you're not looking for accountability. It's something so much greater. It's an invitation yourself to live in your natural state, which is joy. So can you talk to that, that aspect of Mastermind and doing the work of mind, thought, consciousness, and without like going into a lot of personal detail, what have you been able to see that was hidden before, and now that you can see it, what has opened up for you?
Well, it's interesting because in chiropractic, I was trained well and I execute well. I am very diligent and super focused on success. And even before I had coaching, I did great, right? Like I was always really smart and always passed my classes and all that stuff. But what has been the shift is that my mind and my thoughts are different. So one of the exercises that we do in the mastermind is where we wonder, and we do that for our fellow chiropractic sister. And we wonder if they've thought of these things. So the day that they wondered about me, they asked all kinds of wondering questions. Like, I wonder if she has considered, and it wasn't like she should go and tell this and do that. There's never, with the way that you're coaching and the way that we do this, it's never a directive like you must, you have to, because that's icky and that's demanding. But they offer questions and say, I wonder, and have you ever considered, and just the other reason why I was really excited to be in the group is because I didn't know a single woman. I didn't know anyone. And there was no preconceived ideas about who I was or who they were. We were just showing up for each other, holding space for each other. And it's a genuine care. And that is something that the world needs. We need that community. And now one of my best friends that I've never met lives in Mississippi.
Right. Yeah. I love, like, when, for those of you who don't know, in Mastermind, we're all together and then I pair everybody up in twosome. So the weeks that we're not in Mastermind, you're meeting with your Mastermind buddy on that week off. And you, the two of you have like free reign to however you want that to look. If you want it to meet like an hour, if you only want to check in with each other, like whatever you decide. And so I just like looked at the list and really prayed about it and thought like, all right, who has similar backgrounds? And so for all of you who are in a coaching group where your main coach doesn't know you, maybe consider switching. Like, I know everybody in the boot camp. I have had a one-on-one call, one-on-one with every single person. I have piles and piles and piles. This is just from this year of surveys that they have completed about themselves so that they're known. Like, that's really truly what all of us want, is like, see me. I want you to see me. Like, the greatest gift that we can give anyone is just to hold up a mirror and point. Not from a point of like, oh my gosh, but a point of, hey, like, I'm seeing this. Do you see this? And then just to let it go and hold space, because maybe now isn't the time to see that monkey. Maybe it will come on down. So at any rate, Liz and Aaron get to be together, and it's very apparent that this will be a lifelong friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And every time we talk, I'm just like, Barbara was so like just in flow and in innate, and just knowing how connected like we were supposed to be. It is this with her specifically, it's as if I've known her my whole life. And we share things with each other that we really haven't shared with anyone else. And again, it's the weirdest thing because I haven't even physically touched her. I've never been in her space, but we're so connected in our heart. And I think, yeah, the knowing and your heart towards not being a bully, because that's the thing. So many coaches are just like, drill you and get the script perfect. And you offer all of these great tools, and then you encourage people to make them, not without like changing every single word, but like make it your own, make it so what you resonate with is working for you. And you're never a bully about anything. You're just always curious. And I remember we had a private call a couple of weeks ago, and I was spinning out about like, because personally I struggle with having been a single mother, and now I'm married and I have 2 little girls that are still home. And I struggle with like that mother relationship because I didn't have a mother in my life. Like, I grew up without a mother. And so you're like, listen, lady, nobody ever taught you how to make, at that point, I think it was like $79,000 a month, and you figured it out. And I was like, dang, that's so true. So just because I didn't have a mother showing me how to be a good mother doesn't mean that I can't learn. And that has revolutionized just literally in the last 3 weeks. And so my daughter, Lauren, who's about to have her first baby, she's going to do a home birth here. And that relationship has completely turned around. Literally.
Even coaching.
Yes.
Yes.
Seriously, because
Yes.
we were really not on that great of speaking terms. And since I started coaching with you in October, we had a wedding. Now she's having a baby. She's giving birth in my home with me present. In fact, her midwife team is coming over today to like get it all ready because the baby's going to be here in like 3 weeks.
Wow, that's like so cool.
It is, and it's so redemptive. And I think, you know, every year I pray about a word and God kind of gives me a word. And this year my word was redemption. And it's been so apparent in every relationship in my life. On my birthday, an aunt that I hadn't talked to literally in 12 years texted me, "Hey girl, I love you. I miss you. I'm so sorry I haven't been there." And I just keep seeing these like threads of redemption that God's doing. And it's so incredible. And
So
then
cool.
I know how you always say this, but I just want to highlight it. Happy people are successful. It's not the other way around.
Yes. Yes.
So yes, I am experiencing material success in my practice because I'm happy, because I'm whole, because I'm working on myself and getting rid of all those monkeys in my mind that are always talking and telling me you're not good enough, you're not stable, you're not whatever. And all that's a lie. It's a lie. God doesn't talk to us that way. That isn't love.
Mhm. You know, so I want to stop. So a couple of things. It occurred to me the other day, actually, we were helping, Ben and I were on the parking team for all 3 services for Easter, which was, it was
I
like
saw
so
that
much,
picture.
yeah, it was so much fun. As crazy as that is, it was like blustering wind and there was ice everywhere. You can see in the picture. So it was like a slip slide away. And people were just like so gracious. And I thought to myself, you know, the question, how are you? My dad is so funny. He's like, I hate that question because most people lie. And
Yeah.
for the most part, when we ask, no one's really interested. So why do we do this gymnastics,
Mm,
right? And I thought, you know what? I really am redeemed. So it's so crazy that you just brought that up. Like, that's who I am. I am redeemed.
mm-hmm.
And because I am redeemed, I have security in my future. And if I have security in my future, I have security today.
Amen.
Um, so here is why happy people are successful, but that success does not give birth to, that success does not give birth to happiness. I need to change that. Just one second.
Right. Yeah.
Is because when we're on the hamster wheel, the only thing available to us is to go faster, to go slower, or to bring more people onto the hamster wheel, which then makes it really clunky, right? So instead, what we focus on in the boot camp and in my coaching is the magic carpet ride, right? Because have you ever noticed if you are watching this or Liz, you can attest to this. Somebody said, I'm so inspired. Praise God. We're so thankful to hear that. When you're on the hamster wheel, has it ever felt like, oh my gosh, I hit 60,000, then I hit 70,000 and 80,000. And it's like, you get to that point where every month it's like, all right, well, maybe I'll get off next month. Like maybe next month I'll actually feel like I did something. It's like we hit it and there's like, it doesn't really matter. Like it matters
Right.
because, oh, I hit another goal,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no like real fulfillment. And so
Mm-hmm.
we tell ourselves it's got to be the next level. It's got to be the next thing I buy. Oh, maybe it's this thing. Where the magic carpet ride, the money flows because of happy. So can
Yeah.
you speak to that for a minute? Because to like, I mean, obviously it's a big deal to grow to this level and for you to keep growing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, like there are lots of docs who go up and then it's down and then up and down
Mm-hmm.
and then up and down. And the fact that you went up and up and up and you
Mm-hmm.
haven't destroyed your marriage has gotten better. Your
Yeah.
relationships have gotten better. Like if anyone looked at pictures of Liz in October and looked now, like this is flat,
Yeah.
right? Like there's like so much sparkle in your eyes and in your face. So you haven't done destruction or like, oh, I know you got to sacrifice to like do more. I'm like, That sounds terrible.
Right.
Well, can you talk about the magic carpet ride compared to the hamster wheel?
Well, I mean, it's so funny. One of my little part-time jobs in chiropractic school was I sang for weddings and funerals because I had a gift and I was like, I might as well monetize it. And so one of the weddings I sang in was like from, Aladdin, I can show you the world,
Yeah.
So, and so that song has always been like this little theme in my head. So when you talk about the magic carpet ride, it's like, it's so effortless and easy and fun and free flowing. The hamster wheel. And I look back and I recognize like my very first probably 5 to 7 years in practice, I was just on this hustle and constantly. And I am not saying that I don't love to be awarded, because I do. I love recognition, and I think all of us secretly do, if they want to admit it or not. But I love recognition. And so I have an entire wall of awards that I've been given by my peers because they want to recognize the work that I've done and the effort that I put in, and that jazzes me up, right? But all of that was like, I get this award, and I'm like, that's cool for 5 seconds. And then, oh my gosh, if I don't get that award again, does that mean I'm not awesome? Do you know what I mean? So that hamster wheel that you were talking about, like, I didn't know the verbiage and I didn't have the vernacular for it, but that's what I felt. And since being in this coaching, in this tribe, and with this network of men and women who are committed to empowering each other and inspiring each other and being there for each other, it occurred to me, I don't care if it's midnight. I felt that Sarah needed me to hear from me, that I was so proud of her for her yesterday, because I was just like, she is radiant. She was brilliant yesterday. Her face was glowing. Her hair was on point. Like everything she was talking about, she was so in flow. And for her to be able to share her heart like that, I'm like, girl, I am so proud to be in your sphere, because that lifts me up. Mm-hmm. And I've always been an encourager, and I've always had this mindset of like, we need to be together and raise each other up, because I think you say it a lot, Barb. You say rising tides raise all ships. So as a tribe, as a community, with us coming up, we're all going to be better for it. And the magic carpet ride is just this glorious, yummy, exhilarating, fun thing that we get to be on, to just kind of move through our existence and have that like magical joy that we're talking about. Now, are there times and moments where monkey gets in and I'm like, blah, blah, blah? Of course there is. In fact, like literally Tuesday morning after I got done doing my workout, I work out from 5:30 to 6:30, and then I go to my office and I start seeing patients at 8. I laid on my PEMF table and I was like bawling and just begging God for peace, because I got in my head for like, an hour about like, oh my gosh, now this associate's starting and da da da, I have all this pressure. I'm like, what am I doing? This is so not the way that I need to be. But I just have to go back to the knowing and the principles that I'm taught. So it's not like I live in this blissful, like, all the time. But again, I just go back to the first things. And for me, that's knowing that who I am, I'm created in the image of God, that he has, he wants me to be successful, and that isn't without trial or tribulation, but he will be with me through all those things, and his peace surpasses understanding. And then all of these principles that we're learning in the boot camp and the mastermind just resonate that and completely support that. So it's amazing.
I love now that we're able to understand, like what I talked about yesterday with from Michael Neal's book about think of mind like a train station. Mm-hmm. For those of you who aren't aware, like think of mind like a train station, and there are all kinds of trains coming and going and coming and going, and that's like those are our thinking. That's our thinking. And when you get on the train, there's a destination for the train. Like it's going to LA, it's going to Oakland, it's going to wherever. And so when you get on it, you can look at the sign and know where it's going. Well, in thinking, those signs are our feelings. And you cannot feel anything you don't first think. And we live in our thinking. We don't live in our reality, right? Like that is so evident. Like the longer I do my thought consciousness, it's so obvious that we live in our thinking, not our reality, right? So when we get on those trains of thought, our feelings are simply the sign saying, hey, Liz, you're headed to sadness. And you can look at it and go, that's fine. I want to actually feel sad. So get in it and feel it. And please, for those of you who don't understand this work, we're not just like, oh, there's a negative thought, shove it down.
No,
Like, that's insanity.
not at all.
Mind doesn't work like that. Like brain doesn't work like that. So instead, we just learn to like observe it and decide, oh, it's snowing today, which literally it's snowing right now. I think I want to go out in the snow, which would be my feelings. Like I just want to get in there. I just want to be sad. I want to be happy today. I want to be mad. And then the sign comes up and the feeling comes up and said, this is where that train is going. Do you want to go there? And you can be like, actually, I don't think I do. So we go back to the train station mind and choose a different thought. Like we have 12,000 to 60,000 of them every single day. You can choose a different one and you can actually decide who you want to be in the train station with you in terms of thoughts.
Yes.
Based on what you input, right? So that's why it's so important. Like I read like a crazy woman. I know you do too. I always have Audible going. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I either have Christian music playing because that's what I want in my train station, or I'm listening to a book. Because I want to invite the people, the thoughts into my train station that are on my magic carpet ride. I don't want to be on that wheel.
You know, yesterday when you were talking about that, I was in the car listening as I was driving my daughter down to the beach because I'm on spring break with my kids this week. And I was taking Michaela. We had a little special date. So she went and got her eye exam done and we did that in the morning. But then I was like, hey, let's go play at the beach. So we went down and I had her do that exercise because she definitely struggles in that where she gets on this train and she just goes with it. And I'm like trying to get her to understand that you can in a minute, like decide, are you going to stay on that train? Or are you going to pop off? And she's like, I didn't know it was that simple. Now this is an 11-year-old who really is like, I'm so excited that I can even offer that to her. And again, that's like part of the personal life where as a mother, I'm able to take these skill set and improve my marriage, improve my mothering, improve my relationships with my friends. And then just knowing what is a yes, what is a no, what is a maybe later, you know, not now, but later type of thing.
I love that. Yeah. Yes, no, live.
Yeah.
Yes, no, live. Stay in flow. Yes, no, live. And it's just such a delicious way to live. So Liz, my congratulations to you. Thank you so much for being a great friend. Thank you so much for all that you do for our tribe, for chiropractic, for humanity. This woman, one of the things that we're working on is looking at yes, looking at no, and recognizing that saying no sometimes is a really good thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. For all of you who've joined us now or who will join us watching this on a replay, like just drop your comment in and say thanks to Dr. Liz for sharing her journey with us. And if either of us can help you, like I know I speak for Liz, like reach out. She will tell you honestly what it's been like. And remember where you are now or what your past is only that. Yep. We don't have our past. We don't have our future. We have our present. And it's so interesting to live in our present. So God bless you. Have a wonderful day. And thank you so much.
My pleasure.